Now that our application can remember users, let's complete the third of the three models by adding a Remember Me checkbox. Take a look at the mockup. We looked at this before, but here it is. So we're going to add this sort of checkbox to the login page. This involves opening up the new page for users, the login page, or sorry, the new page for sessions. This is the form to create new sessions. So let's add a label. I'm going to call it Remember Me, and we're going to give it some classes. In order to get the styling right, we actually want the box to be inside this label, so I'm going to put a block here. This is one of the things that Ruby can do, is that here we have f.label and then just the symbol, but here we've got the symbol, we've put some classes, but then we're also going to pass it a block. And inside this I'm going to put a checkbox. See what that did. Alright, so that actually worked. The styling isn't quite right, but we'll fix that up in a moment. We can see if we click this. Well, actually, this is going to actually work, yeah. It didn't do anything. I mean, it did remember it because it's remembering by default. So let's put in some invalid information. See what happens. Alright, so you can see down here that we've got session, here's the session hash, email, password, and remember me is 1. So when we check the box, remember me is 1, and when we don't check the box, remember me is 0. Let's fix that styling. This is going to be in the forms section. We can just add it to the bottom here. And this is not, again, very important to know the details, so I'm just going to copy it from the book. Just copy this in. Save it and take a look at it. Just log in. Good, so this is more the styling we expect. So let's submit it one more time. Just want to remind you what it is. We just looked at it. But here it is. It's session of remember me tells us whether that checkbox is checked or not. So in the sessions controller, after logging in the user, we should remember the user only if that checkbox is checked. So we can do that like this. Params of session remember me. So this is, if this is equal to 1, let's just do this. If that's equal to 1, we want to remember the user, else we want to forget the user. So we'll forget the user if the box is unchecked. Save that, and this is actually working now. It's amazing how little code is required. It's because of all the work we did before. So we can go to Opera, log in, remember me, copy this here, quit, open up Opera again, and you can see that I'm still logged in. If I log out, log in here, if I log in this way, now it won't remember me, I can quit. And you can see I'm not logged in. By the way, the reason we want to forget the user is because of the following scenario. So ordinarily, you wouldn't go back to the login page, right? If you log in like this, you wouldn't then go to the login page. In fact, we might even, as a design choice, just redirect someone away from this page. But there is something that could happen suppose that I log in here and I have another window with the same URL. Right, so suppose that I log in here. I just remembered the user. But now if I log in over here with the Remember Me box unchecked, I do want that to forget the user. So now if we quit out, let me just copy this. It should now forget that session. Right, so I'm not logged in. So this is working. This is a working Remember Me checkbox. There's just one refinement, which is to combine this into something a little shorter. We saw this briefly before. Let me move this over here. We're actually going to use this question mark colon syntax. This is called the ternary operator, and it basically works like an if-else. So, oops, over here, params of session of remember me equals 1, question mark, remember user. Just put this into one line. After all the work we've done building all this machinery, the remember me checkbox is actually just adding one line, handling it. Run the test. This is really nice to have tests to catch stuff. You can see we have 3 errors there, and that's because while we can omit the parentheses normally, Ruby doesn't know how to parse this line. So to get this to work, we do have to put in the parentheses. There we go. So this is a working Remember Me checkbox. It's pretty amazing.